Well, India, this is such a great series for you, Night Court. How did this one cross your desk?
Ooh, I was on vacation with my husband, and I had just been released from a test that morning for a show I was super excited about and did not book, and was licking my wounds. And then at 6 p.m. in the afternoon, which my agents rarely call me at, I got a phone call for another test. And they said, "Hey, this is not the same thing that is now passed. It's night court. What do you think?" And I immediately, after I got off the phone, was jumping up and down. And then I thought, well, shoot, I better watch some night court. I grew up in England, so I didn't have the same exposure as a lot of the other cast. So I binge watched, and then I got to jump on a session with Melissa and Winston and Dan and Pam Fryman. And we worked some stuff and had a good time. And then not long after that, I had a test with NBC and Warner Brothers, and the rest is history.
How was Olivia then described to you originally? Do you recall?
I can't remember the original breakdown, but the original scene for the test, which was not in the script, was Olivia making it very clear that she was not a people person, but then going to Judge Abby Stone and saying, "Listen, if you wanted to get drinks one time, I suppose I maybe could, like one time, whatever. We're not besties or anything, but if you really," and just discovering that she's actually this incredibly lonely person who puts up walls, but secretly would really love to love someone and be loved. And so it was great. I got to kind of distinctly play a character that had a bit of an outer shell, but discover her vulnerability straight out of the gate.
Well, I know you're familiar with at least one friendly face on the series from Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, but were you familiar with any of your other co-stars?
I mean, I knew their work. I wasn't familiar with them personally. We had mutual friends, which is kind of just the way the industry goes these days. Cap and I obviously have worked together before on Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, so we were buds, which was really fun. Pam Fryman, the director, is a friend. I had worked on a show called I had done a How I Met Your Mother that when I first met her back in the day, but my husband's also an actor. He was on a show called One Day at a Time for years, playing Schneider, and I played his love interest on that show. And Pam was also the director on that show, and we just loved each other and hit it off and had become family. So I was super excited to step into that straight out of the gate. And also, a lot of the crew were from One Day at a Time, so it was kind of a reunion in a lot of ways. Which was great because I was for sure intimidated when I first got there, but that all made me feel real comfortable.
Well, obviously the OG of the series, John Larroquette, is back. Did he give you any advice or tips on truly how to make Night Court honor it from what its origination was and still yet make it modern?
I feel like John was very respectful in kind of observing what everybody was doing and having faith in the writers and the network and the studio that they had brought the right people to the table for the job. I think we all felt an enormous responsibility to be respectful of him in that, and as much him as the audience of the original Night Court, in that he had to go to work today every day in a set that was the identical set to the one that he had worked in with his friends for 9 seasons, and then come to work every day and then have those faces be replaced by new faces. And so, if anything, I would say that we felt a great responsibility to be respectful of him in that way, as much as we feel that responsibility to the fans of the original Night Court too. And I think Dan Rubin and Melissa and Winston have done a beautiful job of gently waking up a show 30 years later, in a way that honors what has gone before, whilst also making it a show that people who maybe didn't necessarily see the original would also love to watch.
There's such a great comedic beat to this series. Was that sort of a challenge for you, or is it old hat for you? Because I know you've been a part of a number of beautiful comedies in the past.
I have loved comedy my entire life. When I was about 8, My one of my parents was working on a musical, and I remember being in backstage with a bunch of the actors who were swings, waiting to see if they'd have to jump on, and me presenting to them what I had made, which was the manual for how to be funny. And I believe it was like, pencil drawn, colored in. My mom has it somewhere. She found it in the attic. One of the things was, do not be shy. If you are shy, you will never last in comedy. Like all these ridiculous things. And making people laugh just was always the most satisfying thing to me from an early age. And I can see it. My 4-year-old son is the same. Um, and for the minute I got to LA, all I wanted to do was be on a multicam. And there was a year I tested for 8 multicams, I believe, and did not get any of them. And year after year, it was kind of, I would get right down to the last two, but then inevitably I just kind of ended up in dramas. And I think I had possibly more of a look for a drama or something that lent a little bit more soapy, possibly. I don't, and I just never ended up where I really wanted to be. And then as time's gone by, I've started to kind of either take those dramatic roles and make some funny in there where I could, because that was what was pleasing to me, or I managed to jump into comedies here and there. But this is my first time as a series regular getting to be on a multicam. And I can't even explain to you how fulfilled my insides are every single day when I step off the set at Warner Brothers and think, oh my God, they called and said yes. Like I get to do what I wanted to do this whole time. And they finally called and said yes. And I just, John laughs at me because he's like, she's over there being giddy and ridiculous. But sometimes I think it puts a pep in his step and he appreciates it. So
I think you've earned it.
thank you.
Well, Cap wouldn't tell me if there was any singing and dancing in the series, but I was wondering if you would tell me maybe some of your favorite episodes that you filmed, or at least ones that viewers should keep an eye out for.
Oh, let's see. Um, I really love hmm. I'm trying to think which ones you've seen is the problem. I don't want to give spoilers.
Well, we know the pilot for this is going to be pretty epic, and people are going to be glued to their seats. So I think that's a good start for the series as well.
Yeah, the pilot is God, pilots are hard. Watching a pilot to me is the most uncomfortable thing in the world because you are required to do so many different things. You have to kind of create this world, establish these characters, try not to put in too much exposition. And Dan and the writers really did a beautiful job of not only checking all those boxes, but also bringing Dan Fielding back into the night court world in a satisfying way, and also taking care of all of these other caveats that they need to be aware of when you are taking on something that has such a legacy as night court. So my hat goes off to them for what they managed to achieve in, I don't even know, I think it's 24 minutes ish slot. It's a big ask, and they came through with flying colors.
Well, I was just going to ask, why do you think people are going to tune in to this new version of Night Court? But it sounds like you've encompassed it so well. The writing is there, the comedy is there, and it still pays homage beautifully to the original. And now is, I think, a perfect time for it. Is that what really you feel as well?
Yeah, I think there'll be people who come because they love the original, and they want to kind of go home, and we're happy to have them. I think there are people who will come because they love Big Bang Theory. I think there are people who will come because they love John Larroquette. I hope that there's people who come because they love Lakrita and Cap, um, and I think there'll also be people who come tentatively and nervously, and I'm hoping that those are the people that they come and they go, oh, thank God, and breathe a sigh of relief when they see that we have been so hopefully respectful, and that this show was made by people who love the original. This show was made by people who wanted to honor the original. And I also think that hopefully people will come who don't know the original at all and just want to laugh. So as much as we're bringing in the old audience, I hope we're bringing in a new audience. My hope of all hopes is that they come and that they stay.
Don't sell yourself short. They'll be there for India as well. What are the other projects that you've been busy working on? You've had quite a lengthy career. I feel like you work constantly, and this is a unfortunate reason for you to have to take a break. But this is you constantly stay busy. Are there other things you've been busy working on?
I shot Firefly Lane, which aired in December 6th, I think it dropped. So definitely go check that out if you haven't already. It's on Netflix. Um, Slumberland is a movie that I shot that also just dropped on Netflix, which is a really incredible movie with Jason Momoa and Marlo Barkley and Luciopia. That's beautifully shot. Francis Lawrence directed it, who directed the Hunger Games. Um, and I shot a music video just before I've been away for a month. And now with COVID, I'm stranded a little bit, waiting to test negative so I can go home. But that will be getting edited back in January, and hopefully should come out mid-February ish. Um, and we're gonna see. Hopefully, people love the show, and then we get to make some more of it. Um, I feel like I've been very. My mom says, you just have to imagine you have a magic lap. My mom's also in the entertainment industry, and so she knows how unforgiving it can be, and there's not a whole lot of security. But if you just keep doing what you love and imagining that things will just keep falling in your lap, and a glass half full and positive, positive, work hard, be nice. Hopefully, work will keep coming. So I'm grateful for every inch of it. And if this show goes for, I don't know, however many years, I will be there for every single one of them, just as grateful for everyone as I was for the last.